Right here in Saudi Arabia, they've announced a $10 billion investment in renewable power and have set a goal for half of their energy, their electricity to come from clean energy. So I think there's more opportunities to deploy and invest in renewables, and we encourage it for sure. At the same time, I think it's important to recognize that wind and solar energy alone can't really help us meet our climate goals. Yeah, we really need to shift now by governments and industry to invest more in clean energy R&D, technology, and innovation with a goal to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. You may recall, I know, Frank, you follow the IEA and all the reports they do, and they really do terrific studies and reports. And last fall, they came out with the IEA annual technology report. And it was really significant because it really signified, I think, for the first time for policymakers, that half of the technologies that are needed for us to meet our climate goals are not even invented or envisioned yet. And I think this is a reason why you see the EU and Saudi Arabia also pursuing hydrogen. Hydrogen is a very hot topic and trending topic now, and I think that's because the EU has recognized intellectually that what I just said, that wind and solar just can't do it all alone, and we're not going to just go off of fossil fuels. We need a replacement, and so that's why I think they're investing so much in hydrogen, and Saudi Arabia is getting very involved in it. And so we need other technologies like that. Another one is direct air capture of CO2. And so there's a lot of technologies that are going to be needed. And so I think it's more than just renewables. It's more about technology and innovation.
One final one, and briefly, please, Mr. McGonigal. The circular carbon economy is a framework, a strategy that Saudi Arabia has laid great store in. And it won endorsement last year from the G20 as a practical way of confronting climate change. Do you think the world can unite around this? There are some people who are still holding out, aren't there? Europeans in particular. Do you think the world can unite around the circular carbon economy strategy?
Well, I think regardless of what your sort of path forward is, I think there has to be a recognition that one approach is not going to be necessarily the approach for all parts of the world. I mean, you can pursue electrification in places like Europe and maybe even in the US, where you have such advanced infrastructure, although some might doubt the infrastructure, seeing what just happened in Texas. But I think I go back to our discussion about technology, and really I think the solution to climate change and protecting the planet is really, a technology solution. It's not about a fuel type. And, the goal should be reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And how do we do that? And, you mentioned nuclear. Nuclear has to be a part of it as well. And that's an off-the-shelf technology, if you will. Certainly there can be improvements, but really we need technologies, not just in new fuel sources like hydrogen, but also technologies to remove carbon, like direct air capture that we talked about, or ways to produce, ways to use oil and gas more cleanly. And so I think that's really the approach. So I think, in answer to your question, I think the world has to adopt approaches like the CCE, and just it has to be more technology focused. But there's a huge need now. And in fact, I think one of the things that really got the G20 behind the CCE initiative is really Saudi Arabia getting behind it in terms of investment. Because, really on a lot of the parts of the circular carbon economy initiatives, or one component of it was carbon capture and sequestration. And, up until now, really, it's just been the US, maybe the UK and Norway and Australia that have invested in it. But if Saudi Arabia is going to get behind it in a big way, that's really going to advance the technology, not just on this, but on the other technologies that will help us solve our climate crisis.